this up last year at a car boot sale and I hadn't really done anything with it, but now the weather's starting to get nice in the UK, I thought I would get it all ready and be able to put some nice iced lemon water in it. Obviously it's not very clean. Do you know what? It's amazing what you can pick up at a car boot sale for £1. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to give this a good old clean before I start to upcycle it. Take that off, it all unscrewed really well. Soak that into some sterilising solution. I'm also taking this off because I actually don't like it. And I'm going to put a different design on there. One I think is going to be more appropriate. And you can see this is quite grotty. It is quite dirty. So it's been sitting around in someone's garage or something for quite a while. So what I'm going to do is give this a good clean, then sterilise it. Well, that's all clean now and it's lovely and sterile. Oh, and it smells so much better. That needs to dry out. And that, as you can see, is also so much cleaner. I think it must have had ale or beer in it, because when I was cleaning it, it started to smell. But that doesn't matter, it doesn't put me off, and now I've got it really clean, I can start to decorate it. So I'm going to use this stencil definitely around the base, and stencil that on, and then I may, when I've got that on, put this stencil on the back of it in blue. But this one I'm going to do in yellow. I'm going to use these glass paints by PBO, I'm not sure how you say it. You do need to give these a good stir when you've got them and before you use them. And I'm also going to see if I can stencil with these because I've never stenciled with these before. These bake in the oven at 180 degrees for about 40 minutes and then they set on there permanently. I've used them before many times and I've had a great result. You need to let it cure for about 24 hours on here first before you bake it. That's important. So what I've done is I've cut my stencil down to the height that I want to use it. That is going to make life so much easier. And now I'm going to put a bit of tape around here to where I want to start that stencil. This is all so I can try and get it as even as possible, going all the way around. Although it's not going to be perfect, because if it was going to be perfect, well, firstly, I wouldn't be doing it. And secondly, I'll measure it. Yeah, that looks good enough to me. I'm going to push that right down, and that bit's going to stay on because that's going to be my guide. Now, where I've got it overlapping here, cut that and remove the excess. That way, I'll have a full, even line all the way around. And now what I need to do is line this stencil up so those bits come onto that line like that. And then I can just go all the way around. I'm going to be using this stencil repositional adhesive to put on this stencil so that it doesn't move. It just sprays on and you don't need much of it. There we go, that should be enough. And now what I can do is line that up on there like that and then stick that down. So now I've looked at that, I actually think that is too small. Those crosses are too small on there. I think I need them larger. So I'm not going to use that stencil because I don't have a larger stencil. So what I'm going to do is pop another ring around this, how high I want it. Trying to keep it as straight as possible. Yeah, that looks okay. It's a bit wiggly woggly, but it should be okay. So there we go, that's that done. And I'm going to take a permanent marker. Here I've got a Sharpie and a small protractor like this. I'm just going to work around and draw some lines on. And again, I'm doing these by eye. There we go, so I've got some lines on there going that way. And all I need to do now is put some lines on there going the other way. So I've got those on there all the way round. Now what I'm going to do is put these on here going all the way around now as well. Now I've got a rough pattern on there. So I've got that all on there now. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. So what I'm going to do is see, these are water soluble, so you can wash them out of brushes and things like that. What I'm going to do first is see if they will stencil on, or whether I'd be better off brushing them on. No, I don't like the way they've stenciled on, so I am going to brush them on. I think I'll get a nice smoother finish that way. Yeah, I'm getting a much nicer finish. And all I'm doing is lightly brushing that on. Now my tape is stopping me making too much of a mess and having to do any cutting in, which I would have had to do if I'd have done the pen lines and just stuck with them. Now, these are translucent and I want them to be translucent because obviously you're going to have water in here and either cucumber or lemon or lime or a mixture of everything. You could even put Pims in here, I suppose. And then I want people to be able to see what is in here. I quite like that, but I think I need to put something in these ones. So what I'm going to do is put some blue in there. I think that will look nice. So I'm going to apply the blue in exactly the same way. Now the blue always feels a bit thicker to me, but that might just be the colour. But it still comes out really nicely transparent. So I'll just carry on, finish that off, and then show you what I'm going to do next. So this has been drying now for 24 hours, and I can take off my tape because I've got my oven preheating, and it's my own domestic oven. I'm not using a special oven for it. Once this is dry, it is dishwasher resistant. I don't think it's 100% dishwasher proof, but it's dishwasher resistant. But I won't be putting this in the dishwasher anyway. There we go, so that's what it looks like now. But what I'm going to do before I do anything else is remove those black lines. And all I'm going to be using for this is a little bit of 99% alcohol and a Q-tip. And that should bring those off lovely. You could probably leave them on because for the next stage, what I'm going to do, you're not going to see them anyway, but I don't want them there. There we go, look, all gone. So there we go, they're all gone now. What I'm going to do is set a timer for 40 minutes and just pop this in the oven on the shelf. Well, I've got to be completely honest, I've messed this up completely. Look at that crack. And that wasn't because of the oven, that wasn't because of the glass, and it wasn't because of anything that I applied to it. It was because when I took it out of the oven, I put it on my table and I thought I need this to cool quicker because I want to finish recording. So I put a fan on it and that was the stupidest thing I could do. So the cold air blew across it, it contracted really quickly and ended up cracking. I mean, what can you say about it? But all is not lost. I'm not going to waste this because what I'm going to do is turn this into a terrarium. Not what I wanted it for, but it did only cost me £1, so I can't complain about that. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. So to try and hide it a little bit, what I'm going to do is put this little tropical saying on here that I cut out on my cricket. I was going to put this at the front, but obviously I can't now. But that'll help hide it a little bit. There we go. So it says tropical on there now. I am still going to put this back on because I think that kind of gives it that feel of what it was. But obviously it's not going to hold any water now or anything, so that doesn't matter so much. There we go. But that will make it look good as a terrarium. Oh, I shouldn't have put that on yet. Oh, we really are having a day, aren't I, of it? But I am still going to put around my stick-on leading, which is what I intended to do anyway, because I love this stuff. I think it looks amazing on jars. And this will also prevent it from breaking a little bit more as well. And what I'm going to do is push that on there in line with my top line where I put that blue tape to start with. This would have looked so nice as a little water jug, but there we go. And this stuff is brilliant and it stays on here so well. It's actually designed for windows. So I'll do that on there. And then the same round the bottom, and then I'll crisscross it over and show you what it looks like finished and what it would have looked like if I hadn't messed it right up. And this is really easy just to put the diagonal bits on. I overlap the top one, I overlap the bottom one, and then I get a knife, line it up with those edges, push it down, and then it'll cut through that really nicely. And then at the end, I'll go round and do the same with the top pieces. And then you get this little piece here that you can just run this over and it will stick that right the way down onto there. Well, there we go. All I've got to do is plant this up now. I'm really disappointed I did that. I'm so disappointed because I love how that's come out. I think it looks so much nicer than it did with the wicker on, with the tropical on, and it would have worked lovely in the summer. But that's not going to go anywhere now. I'm going to quickly plant it up with a bit of soil, some grit in the bottom, and then I'll show you what it looks like finished. So there we go, that's all planted up now. I think that looks quite pretty. I am still disappointed, I have to say, but it would be wrong of me to not show you this video and then not show you how it went and what happened and what I did wrong. So I will never do that again, try and cool it down. I should know better. But I do love the principle of how it's come out. Now these little plants, we grow those all the time. We just break off leaves, plant them in the soil, and then they'll grow another plant. And that one's probably about 1.5 years old, maybe 2 years. So we'll put that somewhere nice and have that shown now like that. This isn't going to fall apart because all this leading is on here. If you want to know how I plant these up, then I've got a couple of videos on my channel. I'll link one at the end, and how I grow them and all that sort of thing. So check that out. Well, let me know in the comments what you think. Was I right to keep it and not just chuck it away? I think I was. Boot the like button, hit the subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your crafting. Take care. Bye.